Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, video producer and Christian. Again, putting on my science cap today about something I saw that was pretty fascinating about, if you may recall, back in 1986, the Chernobyl disaster in Russia. It's about plants surviving and other animals in that high radiation. Like and comment on my video, subscribe to support my channel if you would. It's a researcher that's been working on this amazing situation, and by Stuart Thompson. They want to know why the plants don't die from cancer in that environment. They recently brought back some information. Let's see. Chernobyl's exclusion zone. Now, the way it goes is I think the number 4 reactor at Chernobyl blew up, and they evacuated the city, and they have a 1,000-mile exclusion zone around that reactor. But it isn't devoid of life there. It didn't kill everything. Wolves, boars, bears have returned to the lush forests surrounding the nuclear plant. And when it comes to vegetation, all but the most vulnerable and exposed plant life never died in the first place. That's amazing. But the most vulnerable and exposed plant life and also recovered in the most radioactive areas of the zone. Some of it recovering within 3 years, so it was a short time. Now, humans and other mammals don't do well in that environment. Would have been killed many times over by the radiation the plants in the most contaminated areas received. Now, so why is plant life so resistant to radiation and nuclear disaster? Answering that question, we need to understand how radiation from nuclear reactors affects living cells. Now, Chernobyl's radioactive material is unstable because it's constantly firing out high energy particles and waves that smash cellular structures and also produce reactive chemicals which attack the cell's machinery. Now, most parts of the cell are replaceable if damaged, but DNA is a crucial exception. At higher radiation doses, DNA becomes garbled and cells die quickly. Now, lower doses can cause more subtle damage in the form of mutations, altering the way that the cell functions. For example, causing it to become cancerous, multiply uncontrollably, or spread to other parts of the body, which many of you are familiar with that for human cancer. Now, in animals, this is often fatal because their cells, like us, and systems are highly specialized and inflexible. Now, think of animal biology as an intricate machine in which each cell and organ has a place and a purpose. And all the parts must work for an individual to survive. A human cannot manage without a brain, heart, lungs, so forth. Now, plants, however, develop in a much more flexible and organic way. Because they can't move, they have no choice but to adapt to the circumstances that they're in. Now, rather than having a defined structure as an animal does, plants make it up as they go along. Whether they grow deeper roots or taller stem depends on the balance of chemical signals from other parts of the plant, and the wood wide web, if you will, as well as light, temperature, water, and nutrient conditions. So there's a major difference between the two. Now, critically, unlike animal cells, almost all plant cells are able to create new cells of whatever type the plant needs. Now, this is why a gardener can grow new plants from cuttings, with roots sprouting from what was once a stem or a leaf. I have planted tomato plants this year and cut off the branches so that there was about a third of the plant left above the ground and planted the rest, and then the roots grow out from where those stems were. Kind of fascinating. All of this means that plants can replace dead cells or tissues more easily than animals can. Now, whether the damage is due to being attacked by animal or radiation. Now, while radiation and other types of DNA damage can cause tumors in plants, mutated cells are generally not able to spread from one part of the plant to another, as cancers do. Now, thanks to the rigid interconnecting walls surrounding plant cells, that's why it works. And tumors are not fatal in the vast majority of cases because the plant can find ways to work around the malfunctioning tissue. Now, isn't that fascinating? Just what we would call a simple plant can detect what's happening, the radiation, and then start to repair itself, whatever is damaged. But because they're not as complicated as animal bodies are, they can recover. And as with animal bodies, if it messes up your heart, your brain, you're done. But with them, they have the ability to resist the damage and to repair, which is kind of neat. Their innate resilience to radiation. Some plants in the Chernobyl zone seem to be using extra mechanisms to protect their DNA. Now, changing its chemistry to make it more resistant to damage. Now, think about that. And turning on systems to repair if it doesn't work. So it's kind of like it's trying one thing, then another. Now, levels of natural radiation on the Earth's surface. This is an assumption that levels of radiation were much higher in the past, allowing plants to evolve these abilities. So that's where we're at on that subject. Now, life is now thriving around Chernobyl. Populations of many plant and animal species are actually greater than they were before the disaster. Not only the ability to recover, but there's nobody there, and it's far more natural, if you will, for everything to reproduce and function because it's not being bothered by people. Given the tragic loss and shortening of human life associated with Chernobyl, this research of nature may surprise you, but just as I said, it's given a less tampered with environment that it can just press on and improve. Now, radiation does have demonstrably harmful effects on plant life and may shorten the lives of individual plants and animals, but in life-sustaining resources are an abundant enough supply and the burdens are not fatal, then life will flourish. Life is tenacious. It is amazing how things do survive. Crucially, the burden brought by radiation at Chernobyl is less severe than the benefits reaped from humans leaving the area. Now, essentially, one of Europe's largest nature preserves, the ecosystem supports more life than before, even if each of the individual cycle of that life lasts a little less. Now, in a way, the Chernobyl disaster reveals the true extent of environmental impact on the planet. Harmful as it is, the nuclear accident was far less destructive to the local ecosystem than we are. In driving ourselves away from the area, we have created a space for nature to return. So that's a big issue. Being good stewards of the planet is very important. And that's a good example. We have to be good stewards of the planet so that things can live and thrive. And that's important. Global climate change becomes an issue. But also the argument there is that the nature has innate ability to survive difficult situations, even in this time of global warming. Argument. I'm going to say argument because there is argument in both directions as to how much and how bad. Now, people should be thankful that Thompson, the guy studying this in life now thriving around Chernobyl, populations of many plant and animal species are actually greater than they were before the disaster. Now, the credit for that should go to the selectionism, mystical personifications of nature, who is seen in the favoring some organisms as either a selective breeder, tinker, or blind watchmaker. Ah, there we go. That's coming to the real argument. Did plants and animals evolve with the ability to resist something as difficult as radiation poisoning? Or were they made to do that? And that's the argument. Do they have the already built-in ability to do this from the beginning? And that takes us to the creation evolution argument, that animals and plants have this ability built into them. They can sense, they have sensors built in to sense danger and the ability to react to it. Well, there's a point of view, and the struggle of the argument goes on of where things came from and what's this all about. But we have seen then that things have decidedly survived a radiation disaster. It doesn't mean it's safer or should be ignored, but there are things to learn from it. So there you are. Interesting story, I think. So like and comment on my videos, subscribe to support my channel if you would. And even in disasters, get out there, learn from it, and make it a great day.